So once all the drama of evacuating both ends and feeling slightly better, and the sweating had stopped and the cramping had stopped, and I didn't feel like I was going to be ill anymore, I just lay down on the edge of the bed with my head over the end, and very, very quickly fell back to sleep again. And I slept the whole night through. I woke up and Kitty was, I woke up about 7 in the morning, I think it was, and Kitty was just lying on a lump on the back of my neck. And I'm sure she was kind of worried as to what the fuck had happened the night before and what was going on. But I could feel her breathing in my ear, and I knew that she was okay. I didn't even hear Andy knocking on the door. Andy said he knocked on the door about 5:45 to see if I wanted to come and get breakfast. I think Jasmine, or the girl who had taken over from Jasmine from her shift, had told Andy I'd been ill and that the room had to be cleaned. And so I managed to get up, and I was feeling pretty good. I think the street food was definitely the culprit, and that it caused me, the severe cramps and the vomiting and diarrhea. And put Kitty's little collar on, and took a little leash, threw a t-shirt, a pair of shorts on, a pair of trainers, and I felt like I'd lost 10 stone weight. I felt horrible. My face was fucking grey. I'd had a tan, but my face was grey, and my stomach was burning with hunger. But I didn't want to go down and eat something too heavy, so I actually got down outside, and Andy was sitting there. Andy was at the table, and he was actually quite worried. He says, "Colin, are you okay?" I knocked on the door, and and then the young girl had said that you were sick last night, and I said, "Fuck yeah!" I told Andy the story about going up and getting the street food, and then coming down and just fucking projectile vomit doing an Exorcist all over the room, and Andy just cracked up, fucking Linda Blair, the Exorcist, and that just tickled him. So it was good to see him get another laugh and stuff. And so I ordered some oatmeal and some banana and some water, and I very carefully had eaten that, but it actually felt good, and waited for 10 or 15 minutes and nothing came up. So I kind of rapidly moved on from there for some toast and some excuse me, and some butter, and went down and it kept it down. Andy told me, because I hadn't been well, he says I still looked a little bit tired. He says that he would go off. There was 2 more dive shops he wanted to get to, and for me just to hang around. He says, "Call, get some fresh air, sit in the sun, and get a bit of sun, and drink plenty of water." And this was a side that Andy never seen. Obviously, very caring side. Get some water, make sure you're hydrated. You know what I mean? Get something to eat. You know what I mean? Don't be fucking wandering down. I hadn't heard him swear. Don't fucking wander down the beach and and something happen, and and then you keel over and you get sunstroke or something. all the dramatics from him was unreal. Kind of made me chuckle a little bit, but he actually showed that he was quite caring, and a bit worried for me. And I says, fuck you. I says, "It's because I'm making you all this money. You don't want me to die, you twat." And he just looked at me and he goes, "You're right." So that's exactly the reason, so, and that was it. So I just kind of did what he said. I just hung around. He left about 10 or 15 minutes afterwards. He'd gone to the plane. He'd gotten more gear from the plane. One of the places that I'd went to, the dive shops that I'd went to see, had wanted some spare stuff. Andy had loads of spares. He was going to get rid of that, so he'd done a deal with one of the dive shops that they would take off his hands everything else that was left, and that was dive consoles, that was octopus regulators, hoses, silicone, gels, O-rings. I think he'd had a few more dive tanks, because we sold 12. He had more dive tanks. Fin snorkel masks, all that type of stuff. Few BCDs, couple of ones that I had tried out, which were kind of now second hand. So everything that I'd packed, he basically sold. So he was going to go back over to, he was going to drive over the causeway, back up to the hangar where the plane was, unload everything, get it into the van, and then drive it down to the dive centre and possibly pick up some more orders. So that was the plan for the day. Andy didn't know how long he was going to be. Obviously, Andy's a businessman. He tried to get as much business as he could, talk to as many people as he could, and sell himself and sell his business. So that was him for the day. I felt, a bit shit, to be honest, leaving him to do that on his own, because I had wanted to go around and, see what the story was, but it was better for me just to kind of stick to where there was a toilet, rather than drive for an hour or so or two down to the island, the furthest part of the island or wherever he was going to go to, and drive round, because it wasn't just going to be one main road. It's going to be up and down other little dive centres as well. And I didn't really know how many were on the island back then, to be honest. 6, 8, not too sure. And when we were there like 30 years ago, the island wasn't as full as it is now. It's kind of crazy. So that there's big golf courses now, and forest parks, and big country homes and country mansions, and big hotels, and every bit of land just seems to be fucking have something on it. So but that's progress. Shit changes. San Pedro was the same. Belize, Albergues Key was the same. So that was a deal. I'd stay at home. I'll stay at the hotel, try and rest, sleep, get Kitty out into the fresh air, have a few showers throughout the day, make sure that she was okay, make sure that she was catered for, make sure that she was she had a few distractions, whether it be on the beach, in the sand, because she'd just discovered sand and she absolutely loved it. So outside of the little place we were staying, they had some of the little white wooden chairs, and one of the guys came down. I can't remember the guy's name at all, and he said, "So would you like a towel for the beach?" And I was like, "Yeah, no problem at all." And he says, "Which chair would you like?" And I says, "That one just right there." So he put a coloured towel on it. He goes, "That's your colour." He says, "Nobody will take that towel off." So my colour was yellow, so there was a yellow towel, and a yellow parasol taken and put down there for me. And he jammed it into the beach, and he put the he put the shade up, and he put a little table, put a little yellow table there, and he goes, "If you need water," he said, "if you need juices or drinks," he goes, "you know what I mean?" He says, I'll pop down every 10 minutes or so," he says, "to check that people need to take an order." I says, "That's very, very kind of you." He said, "We'll do sandwiches, we'll do burger and chips throughout the day and stuff." And he says, "We do have a little menu," he says, "with steaks," he says, "and we do steaks also," he says, "and we do fish dishes, lobster dishes, ceviche, octopus, and all this other stuff." He says, we have lots of stuff." He says, "If would you like a?" I says, "Yeah, throw me a menu down." So he brought a menu down to me, and he said, "If you just keep this with you throughout the day," he says, "I'll collect it." He says, "Whenever you finish with it." And he's nice, really nice. So that was it. Andy left. Andy was happy enough. And he just told me to take care of myself. We had no way of contacting each other. He wasn't going to ring up the front desk and ask them if I was okay, if they could run down to my room and make sure I was okay, and run back and tell him. That just wasn't the way it was going to go. And we didn't have mobile phones or anything, in the 90s. And he'd see me when he got back, and I was still going to be there. So that was the plan. Andy took off. I went back to the room, went to the bathroom, got a hold of Kitty, and we headed down to the beach, and I sat under the parasol, put some sunblock on. I hadn't been out in the sun for a while, so I put a pair of shorts on, Union Jack shorts back then, and a white t-shirt, and I put some sunblock on me, sunblock on my head and everything, any exposed skin, and went and I sat under the shade, and it was a big shade. It was a big parasol. It wasn't a tiny little thing. It was at least 6 foot, in diameter, which was pretty good. And yeah, it was a great, nice, breezy morning for a couple hours on the beach. I actually did fall asleep under the shade. It blocked quite a bit of the sun. I was happy enough with that. The young fella had brought me down a big jug of iced water and a glass, and because I'd been sick, he said the best thing to have in the water was a bit of lemon and lime. So he squeezed some lemon and limes into the water for me, and he threw a little bit of salt in there, a little bit of sugar, which was a rehydration solution, and it was very kind of him. And I think I gave him $10 for all the work that he did, because he did quite a bit with the parasol and everything else. I think I gave him $10, and it was a big smile on him. And like I say, these young'uns, that's how they made their money, with tips.